Hello, listeners, and welcome to Fungos and Fastballs. On today's episode, we'll start with a look inside the warning track before covering the career of arguably the greatest third baseman of all time, Brooks Robinson.
Is he a Hall of Famer?
Brooke, welcome. For people listening, she's wearing a snazzy hat today.
I am. This is my brand new cap from visiting our son in Colorado. We went to a Rockies game, and I am sporting the summer collection. It's all flowers and tropical.
The summer collection. Who are you wearing? Well, yes, to answer your question, Brooks Robinson, of course, is indeed a Hall of Famer.
Yes, I get to check another player off the list. We're down to 270 left.
Well, at this rate, what will we discuss after 5 years from now?
I'm sure we'll figure out something. We've been doing it for 32 so far.
Well, first, let's start with our trivia question. In Major League history, there have only been 24 perfect games. And the question is, who threw the most recent one? Now, we'll get to that answer later on.
Is a perfect game a no-hitter? Or is it hits but no one gets to first? Or is it just a zero score on one side?
I promise we will get to that answer later, that description later.
Patience is not my virtue.
Yeah, you have to channel your quick bunny rabbit or the Tootsie Bowl Pop owl.
Yes.
So, well, let's first talk about the warning track. No, not the track Warning on the Notorious B.I.G.'s album Ready to Die, but that area of dirt that runs right along the wall in the outfield of professional baseball stadiums. Sure, you've heard announcers say something like, he's back, he's on the track, he's up against the wall. But have you ever really, during quiet moments of reflection, say, I need to know more about that warning track? Now, as you probably know, the track is of a different substance and a different color to allow the outfielder who's got his eyes up running, watching the ball to know he's close to the wall and to be careful that you're about to smash into it. Of course, sometimes with physical players like Ken Griffey Jr., it might not matter. You just slam into it.
So what does the color change have to do if the player's looking up to the sky to catch the ball?
Well, I mean, that's a very good point.
Thank
but
you.
It is very distinctive and pretty.
Yes.
Plus, there's a texture difference as you walk across that track. Well, when do you think the Major League Baseball formalized a warning track at all their fields? I was actually surprised it was so long ago. It was way back in 1949 after a series of bad wall collisions. For example, Pete Reiser, an outfielder for the Brooklyn Dodgers in the 1940s, he crashed face first into an outfield wall in St. Louis, trying to catch a homer by Enos Slaughter, and he was concussed. Now, Reiser actually would sustain a skull fracture in another outfield wall encounter. Now, though it was mandated in 1949, many older stadiums had these type of tracks earlier, like Old Yankee Stadium, that actually had a running track around the field, initially for track and field events.
Wow. So you could get to Yankee Stadium without being a baseball player.
You could,
wow.
As long as you could do the 440 there. Initially, the warning track was supposed to be 10 feet wide, but currently there's actually no width requirement or standardization, and typically it's about 14 to 15 feet. Now, with natural grass fields, the track is typically made of sand, brick dust, or red shale, but on artificial grass fields, typically is made of rubber or synthetic turf granules. And though its purpose, per its title, is warning outfielders, Doug Glanville had an interesting ESPN article many years ago titled "The Warning Track is Useless." Now, he pointed out that variability between the track size in each park doesn't allow outfielders to have a set sense of where it ends. And also, if you're running at an angle or weather or lights are factors, these variations, how you approach the deep ball, can matter. So he says the warning track only, quote, warns those watching in the stands or on TV. But one purpose of the warning track that you may not know about, it's interestingly used to start the timer before a relief pitcher comes in and starts. The timer begins the moment the reliever walks onto the warning track.
But what if the bullpen is not near the warning track, like on the side?
That's a very good question. I think it's once they go past the foul line.
Oh,
I
okay.
think.
All right.
But hopefully they're coming from beyond the warning track. It's easier. Now, Glanville does backpedal a bit. You see what I did there? To say, granted, it's not entirely useless, but it sure is good for giant sausage and president's races.
It certainly is. That's funny. I'll have to post you at Petco, Padres Stadium, when you were faking a catch and I went, he's at the track, he's at the wall, and you jumped up. Is that the warning track? At the warning track? He's at the wall. Oh, he stole one. Oh,
Nice and soft.
Yeah, tell that to Aaron Judge when he went through the wall.
Oh, man. I'm too old for this.
Yeah, I was like Fernando Tatis Jr. out there. That was at Fan Day, at Padres Fan Day.
It was. The wall was not quite as high as we expected it to be.
No, not there.
No, because you're not. You made it. You made it all the way to the top.
I know. I can. White men can jump. Let's start the episode.
Hey, that's my line.
Hello and welcome to Fungos and Fastballs, the podcast of baseball history and trivia. I'm your host, Jerry Dines. Let's jump into today's episode.
Now, today, we cover a player who's in the discussion for greatest third baseman of all time, Brooks Robinson. Now, if you go by the statistic Jaws...
No, wait a minute. Jaws, like the shark, or like the James Bond villain?
Well, I guess it should be explained a little bit more.
Okay.
So you probably know, certainly we've discussed it on this show about WAR, wins above replacement, which means how many extra wins that player on your team gives your team beyond what an average replacement player would benefit you. Well, Sports Illustrated writer Jay Jaffe came up with a variation of that in 2004, averaging your career WAR with your 7-year peak WAR. Now, this was called the Jaffe Wins Above Replacement Score, or JAWS. Now, not a perfect acronym, or otherwise it would be called JWARS, but JAWS is certainly catchier. Now, I sense some folks' eyes glazing over out there, but let's say this. This is a big statistic. It's been a big stat used over the past 20 years when considering whether a player should be in the Hall of Fame. It's often used comparing players at the same position.
So I assume you're going to share with us Brooke Robinson's Jaws.
Yes. Well,
Okay.
If you compare Brooks Robinson, Brooke, see, I'm going to be confusing your name with Brooks all episode.
It's been a challenge.
If you compare Brooks Robinson to all other top third basemen, he's 8th. But that is based on a lot of the batting ability to those above him. Like Wade Boggs, who we just covered, is 3rd on the list. And nothing against Wade, but
I'm sorry, Wade, you're on a first name basis with him too?
we go way back to those flights we used to take together.
Hey, a lot of beer drinking. You
Well,
go way
Wade-
back.
Wade was a great hitter, but as a defensive third baseman, he should not be ranked where he is above George Brett, who's 5th, or Brooks Robinson.
Where's Chipper Jones from our episode 2?
Chipper's number 6.
Oh, not bad.
Now, who's number 1, you might ask? Mike Schmidt. And if you want to argue Mike Schmidt versus Brooks Robinson as greatest third baseman, I will allow that.
That's very generous of you. Thank you. But I may need to wait until we do the Mike Schmidt episode before I put any arguments forth.
Or maybe a special Jerry all-time third baseman ranking episode.
Boy, yeah. Okay.
Well, I am thinking now of the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode, a Christmas episode, where Mac goes ballistic over a guy who's never heard of Mike Schmidt.
That's right. In the toy store. That's a funny one. That's a funny one. And some young kid, too, because how would he? But how about we go back to Brooks Robinson?
I'm a bit unfocused today.
A little bit.
But on to the man, yes, who was referred to as the human vacuum cleaner, Brooks Robinson, who spent his entire 23-year career with your Baltimore Orioles. Brooks Calvert Robinson, I love that middle name, was born in Little Rock, Arkansas, the son of a semi-pro baseball player. Now, Brooks played basketball and baseball in high school, actually got a full scholarship to play basketball for the University of Arkansas. But he wanted to play baseball, and he was recruited by 3 major league teams and decided to sign with the Baltimore Orioles.
I'm amazed. Another multi-sport talent. Do you ever wonder if they played the other sport, how they might have done?
How they would have done, yeah. I don't know.
I know.
Good
Coulda, shoulda, woulda.
It's a multiverse question. Well, after 3 months playing in the minors, initially at second base, Robinson debuted at third base with the Orioles in 1955 at age 18. Now, he only played 6 games in the majors that season. He spent most of 1956 in Double-A ball with the San Antonio Missions, but returned to the Orioles at the end of the year. Now, that year and the next, he mixed time with an injured knee. To aid in his development in these early years, Robinson actually played winter ball. This was something players did in Colombia, South America, not the South Carolina town or Columbia University, and then in Havana, Cuba. which that's not a thing anymore. Also, always a great defensive infielder beyond his years. Hitting was not initially strong. Some good periods, a lot of pop-up flies. In 1958 to 59, he did serve 6 months in the Arkansas Army National Guard. So when he got out, he had to get back in baseball shape. And to do that, he went to the Pacific Coast League with the Vancouver Mounties, joining such great Mounties player as Dudley Do-Right. Bad joke.
Oh, goodness.
Now, an old joke. I don't know that younger listeners will get that one.
I don't even know if I get it.
You're so young.
Yes.
Now, in 1960, with the Orioles again, and cemented now in that third base position, starting third base position, he was selected to the first of 18 straight All-Star games. Now, this remains a record at third base and is 5 more than George Brett and 6 more than Wade Boggs and Mike Schmidt. Now, trivia alert. Did you know that between 1959 to 1962, 2 All-Star games were played each year? The first year, they were a month apart in the summer. In 1960, the 2 games were only 2 days apart. That was weird.
So you said there were 2 per year. Was it the same group of players in each one or a different group of players? Because if it's a different group, then getting to an all-star game may not be as impressive as we think.
No, it was the exact same lineup.
Just played 2 games.
Just 2 games, not
separated
far apart.
by
It was
time.
A complete money grab.
Oh, okay.
But fans really didn't like it. Attendance in the second one wasn't as great. It diluted the magic of that once-a-year All-Star game that had existed for decades before. Still, this was the only time outside of the World Series, if you think about it back then, that players in different leagues faced each other. And yes, if you are into asterisks, Robinson's 18 straight All-Star games did include those 3 double All-Star years that he was selected to in 60 to 62. But even if you count those as once a year, he would still have 15 All-Star appearances at still more than anyone at third base. Now, even around this time, at age 24 years old, he was being lauded, for example, by sports writer Bob Addy, compared with the greatest third baseman of the past. And indeed, over the course of his career, he would win 16 Gold Glove awards, the most of any position player, and second only to pitcher Greg Maddux in number of Gold Gloves, who won 18. 1964 was probably Brooks Robinson's best year as he secured the American League MVP, batting .317 with 28 homers, and led the league with 118 RBIs within the final month. With the Orioles in a 3-way race with the Yankees and White Sox for the pennant, Robinson actually batted .464. Now, the Yankees would win the pennant that season and go on to the World Series. But Robinson soon would help lead the Orioles to the World Series 4 times in 6 years. First in 1966, then 3 consecutive series from 1969 to 1971, winning twice, 66 and 70, as we'll hear. Now, in 1966, Brooks Robinson was joined by outfielder Frank Robinson, no relation. Reminds me of that diehard FBI agent Johnson & Johnson joke. But the Orioles acquired Frank Robinson from the Reds. The two would finish 1 and 2 in the MVP race. Now, Frank Robinson won the MVP that year, understandably, because he won the Triple Crown. But Boog Powell was also an Oriole who finished 3rd in MVP voting. So killer of Orioles lineup that year.
First of all, Boog.
Boog.
Okay.
Boog Powell. We got to do an episode on Boog.
Just for the name. But you mentioned the Triple Crown. Of course, I think jockey and horses come right to my mind. So maybe there's a listener out there who might not know what the Triple Crown in baseball is.
Yeah, Frank Robinson never took the Belmont, unfortunately.
No.
But he did win the hitting Triple Crown. And if you think it would be interesting to listeners, there is a pitching Triple Crown, and we can go over that another time. But a hitting Triple Crown is when a player leads the league in all 3 categories: home runs, RBIs, and batting average. And it's only happened 17 times in Major League Baseball history. And actually, since 1967, so in our lifetime, Brooke, only has happened once by Miguel Cabrera in 2012.
But a listener thanks you.
No problem, listener. Now back to the 1966 World Series. The Orioles faced the Los Angeles Dodgers, and those were the Dodgers of Sandy Koufax and Don Drysdale. Now this was Koufax's last year, but it was still a Cy Young year. LA never got to use Koufax a second time. The Orioles beat the Dodgers in 4 games straight, the only time the Dodgers have ever been swept in a World Series.
4 games straight. That must have been a low year in advertising, because usually it gets pushed to 7.
Yeah,
my conspiracy theory
your
always
conspiracy
says.
About things going 6 or 7 games.
Yes,
is not right.
It wasn't working
we'll
that year.
We'll have to see how the Knicks Spurs game winds up.
Yeah.
This was Baltimore's first championship in its then 65-year history, ever since they joined the American League in 1901. First as the Milwaukee Brewers, not the Brewers you're thinking of, and then as the St. Louis Browns, and finally as the Orioles.
So are we done with that 66 World Series? You seem to be on to something else.
Nope, we're just getting started.
Okay.
In Game 1, Frank and Brooks hit back-to-back homers off Drysdale.
Is that it? There's nothing else about the World Series? Then we're not just getting started.
Well, in all fairness, Brooks had a solid series, not his best. It was Frank Robinson's series. He won the MVP. The pitching of Jim Palmer, fantastic. Again, great Orioles team. So after winning this series, some struggles for Brooks the next 3 years at the plate. He did have a concussion when he was hit in the head with a pitch in 1967 spring training.
Ooh.
Way back in the minors, he actually had been hit in the head again, or first time. But at that time, they were developing this new fiberglass batting helmet, which almost certainly protected him.
Contact sport here.
Yeah. Also in 1967, he had a record that he always said he wished somebody else would break, hitting into his 4th triple play. Now, trivia alert, sadly for Brooks, he still holds that record.
Oh, that's not one you want to keep.
No. The Orioles won the American League pennant again in 69, making the World Series again, but of course would lose to the Miracle Mets. But hey, they'd be back in the World Series in 1970, facing off against the Cincinnati Reds of Pete Rose, Tony Perez, Johnny Bench. But the Reds would have to wait 5 years before their World Series win. The Orioles would win this one 4-1. We're almost going to certainly talk about that 70s Fall Classic, Brooke, more later this month.
The Fall Classic?
The Fall Classic.
Is it a
Brooke
golf,
is skeptical.
Is it a golf tournament? Come
Brooke
on.
is skeptical the World Series is called the Fall Classic. She thinks I'm being esoteric.
I promise if it comes up this year during the World Series, I will record it and eat humble pie.
It's out there. It's
right.
out there. But we're going to cover this month Earl Weaver and a great biography of him, The Last Manager. Now, Brooks Robinson, then age 33 in that series, he was incredible in the 1970 postseason, by the way. He batted 583 in the American League Championship Series against the Twins.
Even I know that's an incredible number.
Incredible number. In the World Series itself versus the Reds, in Game 1, Robinson made a backhanded stop, spun 180 degrees, and threw Lee May out at first across the field, a play that Jason Stark of ESPN once rated his 3rd greatest baseball play of all time.
No surprise. We'll have to get that on social media.
Now, on the grand stage, national TV, this was in the days when there were only 3 networks. In Game 2, Robinson had equally athletic plays, forcing out Pete Rose, then grabbing a hardliner off Lee May again and turned the double play. Another athletic double play in Game 3. These are the highlights that are often played when you watch the highlights of these series. Now, Robinson also hit more successfully in this World Series. 429 with 2 homers in this series, 6 RBIs. His offensive and defensive performance would win him the MVP of this series.
I watched a highlight reel of this series, and the commentator for multiple games kept calling it the Brooks Robinson Show. And actually, in the final game, when he came up to bat, the whole crowd stood up. So he was well appreciated for the series.
Well, during that series, Reds manager Sparky Anderson had a fantastic quote. He says, "I'm beginning to see Brooks in my sleep. If I dropped this paper plate, he'd pick it up on one hop and throw me out at first." Pete Rose said, I've never seen anything like him in my life. He belongs in a higher league. And Brooks's third base counterpart in the Reds, Tony Perez, who himself is a Hall of Famer, said he's the greatest third baseman of all time. He's in the right place every time. So for the next season, after signing a $100,000 contract with the Orioles, then among one of the top contracts of that era, Brooks helped the Orioles win the American League pennant again, his third straight year, getting back to the World Series in 1971. They would lose to the Pittsburgh Pirates in 7 games. Robinson wound up playing 7 more years with the Orioles in the 1970s, some solid years early on, then a bounce up in hitting in 1974, 288, but his batting dropped in the last 3 years. He would only play 24 games in his last season in 1977. Now, of course, with this career, he was elected to the Hall of Fame, first ballot in 1983, and his Orioles number 5 was retired by the team. Now, Robinson in his Hall of Fame speech would say, quote, "Throughout my career, I was committed to the goodness of the game. In fact, I feel my love for the game of baseball overrode everything else. I shall do what I can to continue to make this great game of baseball and the world finer and better. This is a day for my giving thanks. This is a life from which I want to give back." Now, in keeping with that attitude, Brooks was a winner of the Roberto Clemente Award, the second recipient of the award after Willie Mays. That was in 1972, which is basically the baseball equivalent of just being a hell of a guy, a philanthropy, character, community. Now, trivia alert. Brooks won this award when it was first called the Commissioner's Award. It was renamed soon after the Clemente Award, a year after Roberto's death.
Very true. He's another one of these great players, just kind men that we've been covering. His charity work, he and his wife had a foundation, and it funds youth and education and healthcare and veterans and the arts. And in 2015, he famously auctioned off all his personal memorabilia, and he generated just under $1.5 million for his organization.
Oof, that's a lot of cheese, a lot of cheddar. How much, if he can make that much, how much do you think I could get from my memorabilia if I auctioned it off?
Yeah, like 10?
10 million?
No.
$10? Hopefully more than $10.
Well,
I think my life is worth that.
Prices go down. But Robinson was also an influential leader of the Major League Baseball Players Alumni Association, and he dedicated countless hours to youth clinics and to supporting retired players. He also partnered with the Cal Ripken Senior Foundation, which builds and restores baseball fields in underserved areas, as well as he lends his name to a golf classic, and through that, money is given to the York City Little League and the YMCA scholarships. And York, he co-founded a minor league baseball team there because that's where he got his start.
Nice.
There's a quote around Baltimore that so many people have met Brooks Robinson. He probably came to your school or your church or any event you invited him to. He became a friend of all. And during his statue presentation in his speech, he says, I don't consider any of you my fans. I consider all of you my friends.
Well, sadly, he's not around anymore. We probably could have got him on this podcast. That would have been a good get.
No, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Well, on his passing in 2023, pretty recently, MLB Network commentator Brian Kenny would say, quote, "He was one of the biggest stars in the country for a very long time. Brooks Robinson stood for something. He was consistently excellent. He didn't take days off. He was good to his teammates, his managers, the umpires, the fans, the press. He was good to everybody. That kind of person leaves a space that cannot be filled." And Robinson said, a great guy and great marriage. He would meet his wife, Connie, on a flight in 1959 as he flew for a baseball-related thing from Kansas City to Boston. And Connie was a flight attendant. Brooks kept ordering iced teas to try to get her to notice him, and eventually wound up going up to her and lied and said, Don't pay attention to any of the other Orioles players. They're married. I'm the only single guy on the team. By the time they landed, he had landed a date. Now, he's married to her for 63 years until his death. They had 4 children, lived in Baltimore even after his career was over. Overall, Robinson had a long career and consistent, too. He would only miss 45 games over 14 years. He defined Baltimore during a fantastic era of Orioles baseball during the late 60s and early 70s. To this date, too, he still has the defensive records at third base for assists, which actually has 1,000 more than the number 2, Greg Nettles. He still holds the assists at third for putouts and double plays. So on a team with several great Hall of Famers like pitcher Jim Palmer, a shortstop Luis Aparicio, Frank Robinson, it was Brooks that was called Mr. Oriole by the fans. Though modern analytics, as we heard earlier, have kept him lower down in that top 10 of greatest third basemen, growing up like me in the 1970s, it was clear who the greatest third baseman was of all time. And clearly this was an opinion shared by his contemporaries. I don't think there's any doubt defensively. And I mean, not many fielders get the nickname human vacuum cleaner.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd want that name, but I understood why he got the name.
Yeah. Sometimes he's called Mr. Hoover, but not Mr. Bissell.
If it were closer, it'd be Mr. Dyson.
Yeah.
Jim Palmer, in a tribute to Brooks Robinson, said he's the nicest guy in the world. Very rarely do you find somebody that nobody ever says anything but nice things, both on and off the field. As we mentioned, he was beloved by Baltimore, and he lived there until his death. There's a sportscaster quote out there that says, in New York City, they name a candy bar after Reggie Jackson. But in Baltimore, they name their kids after Brooks.
That reminds me, I still got to order that box of Reggie bars.
Yeah, I've been waiting for that to show up.
Oh, they're so good.
Are there nuts in those again?
Yes.
No. Right,
Peanut
forget
butter.
it. Forget it.
Peanuts, yeah. And now back to that trivia question that we mentioned earlier. Who pitched the last perfect game in Major League Baseball history? Well, over 243,000 games have been played in Major League Baseball history since 1871, and only 24 of them have been perfect game, meaning 27 hitters up, 27 hitters down. No players getting to base, whether by hits, walks, errors, interference. Well, they're not always thrown by everyday names. I mean, for every person like Randy Johnson or Sandy Koufax who threw a perfect game, there's also a Philip Humber and Dallas Braden. No offense to either of those. It's still a tremendous accomplishment. But the most recent is indeed one you may have forgotten about, even if you're a Yankees fan like myself. On June 28th, 2023, Domingo Germán pitched the perfect game, 11-0 versus the Oakland Athletics. Now, Germán is not exactly going up in Monument Park soon for the Yanks. He had an 81-game suspension for domestic violence, violating MLB's personal conduct policy. He had issues with alcohol. He was actually waived by the Yankees just over a month after the perfect game, after a violent clubhouse confrontation. Still, despite the blowout score of that game, I remember it well. It was exciting to watch history.
Yeah, I remember we watched it together.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Well, fun time today, and looking forward to Monday's episode highlighting the longest hitting streaks in MLB history. Thanks always to Brooke, my producer.
You're welcome.
And a shout out especially to the folks down at the Sunshine Carpet Cleaner who assured me they'd be listening. And we're always happy you're listening and hope you'll keep listening. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. Hey, if you're inclined, you can watch us there or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Heading back to the locker room, this is Jerry Dines and Fungos and Fastballs.